So I've possessed this bad boy for a couple of years now. This is the Wacom Cintiq 32 Pro tablet, and working on it on a horizontal surface has been killing my back. So my options were to buy a stand for it, but since the screw holes that Wacom made on its back are not VESA standard, the options are somewhat limited. You can either buy a VESA adapter, which costs like 80 euros, and then buy a third-party arm, which will set you back another 200 euros at least if you want something reliable. Or you can buy the original Wacom arm, the flex arm I think it's called, and that costs almost 400 euros in my country. And the third option is to buy the stand, the Ergo stand from Wacom, which costs around 600 euros, which is really a lot of money, honestly, for me. So I thought I would find a do-it-yourself solution. My solution consists of this. First of all, a Wacom to VESA or whatever adapter that I made with wood, and second, a rotating base that I purchased for about 15 euros I think on eBay. And then the third ingredient is this nice drawing table. It's the kind of table that architects use, which can be lifted. It has like 4 or 5 I think positions, so the height can go from about 50 centimeters I think to around 75 I think. And then the nice thing is that the table can be lifted quite a bit. I think 35 or 40 degrees is the maximum height. So the idea, the other thing, I cut these holes through this table. I'll link the exact item I bought, and costed me around 80 euros. I cut these holes through it. I will mount the rotating base on it, this one, and then this will be attached to the adapter, and the tablet will be attached to the adapter. The adapter is just regular wood, centimeters and a half thick. It needs to be sturdy and not flexible, however, because it needs to carry quite a bit of weight. This guy is like 16 kilograms I think, and so that the cost of that will be negligible, and with the 15 euros of the rotating base plus the 80 euros of the table, I think I might have saved a lot of money for my setup. So the first thing you need to do in order to build your own setup like mine is to figure out the center of mass, the barycenter of your tablet, because you want the rotating base to pivot around the center of mass, so there's no strain on the base, and also that's how it's supposed to be used. To figure it out, I used a broom actually that I stuck on this table, and then I balanced the tablet facing up on it, and when I found the equilibrium position, I made some marks on the two sides, here and here, and I found approximately the center of mass. If you have the 24 inches Cintiq, you should do it yourself in order to find the center of mass. But if you have the 32 inches like me, you can use my measurement, which you see this mark here is my center of mass. It's just above this hole, which is where the cables come out of, conveniently, because they will have to go through the hole in our rotating base. So horizontally the center is easy to find. I don't think you need my help for that. But vertically I found that it is about 4 centimeters, let's say 3.9 centimeters from this line here, which is the bottom of the panel, that back panel of the tablet. One thing I forgot to say is that initially I bought 2 rotating bases. This one, which as you can see is much thicker, it's about the same width but significantly thicker. This is much more sturdy. This is used for rotating seats or stools. In particular, for example, for the seats of boats. And it works this way: when pressure is applied on it, it's easier to turn. Otherwise, it responds with quite a bit of friction. And so I don't like it for 2 reasons. It's very hard to turn, and it doesn't have a hole in the center, while this does. This one instead is used for lazy Susans or for rotating bases for screens, I guess, but it's much more flimsy. I can even bend it with my fingers. You see that ball bearings are much smaller, but having a hole, I can send the cables through the center, and so the whole screen will pivot around the cables and won't strain them. Otherwise, if I use this, the cables will have to come out of the front here, the top, and so they will have to go through a much larger angle, and they will have to be bent many times a day, and that's not good. On the other hand, this guy is way stronger than this. It's meant for holding people because it's for seats. So if I'll find that this option doesn't work well, that it breaks, I will have this replacement. I will forget about the cables through the center, but I will have something much stronger alternative. But for now, let's try with this. The way I do it is I will use the 3 centimeter screws to secure this. I need to find the right alignment, the orientation. I think it's this. All right. As you can see here, I didn't do a great job because the holes were initially meant for this larger rotating base, and so I had to adapt to actually make new holes on this one in order to adapt it to this adapter. But I think I can live with this. So of course here I'm using the same screws that would be good for the Wacom screw holes, so 4 millimeters, but you don't have to. Anything that is sufficiently large will work for strapping your rotating base to the adapter. And now we'll put washers so that I don't put too much pressure on a small surface, breaking the wood of the adapter. And I will put my bolts. Now we'll secure it. We have a wrench here. That's enough, I think. So before we attach the adapter to the tablet, we need to put in the cables, and of course they will have to go through both the hole in the table and the hole in the adapter. So this is what I'm gonna do now, and then this is the right orientation, I think, and there we go. Now we put these in the right plugs. So this is the USB cable, this is the display port one, and this is the power cable. They sit nice and tightly. They will pivot around this central point. Now we take this slider off back panel because we won't need it in this case, and we put back the back panel, and then we'll put this piece here, which I'm not sure what it does, but whatever. Okay. Now we'll need to put the back panel on, but before that I would like to make sure I put the screws that will attach the rotating panel, the rotating base to the table, because otherwise with the screen on I won't be able to put them in very easily anymore. So there we go. Okay, now these are the 4 centimeters screws that will hold the back panel. This bolt and these 2 washers will hold the back panel in place, and the front of the screw will be screwed inside the tablet. So I will need to screw in the bolt about 2 centimeters more, but not too much, so 1.5 centimeters perhaps, we'll see, because then it will be hard with a wrench to secure this bolt on the adapter. secure that to the tablet. This was not good. That looks about right. Now we need to match the holes with the screws and just give it a little turn. Oop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Trying to go uniformly across the 4 screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. Now this pesky screw went on its own way. Not having 4 hands is inconvenient, I know. Okay, I will tighten the bolts at the bottom a bit. My finger is not skinny enough for it here, so I need to do it with a wrench. I don't want to make them tight, I just want to lift them all the way up so that I have space for screwing in the screws. This I can do with my finger. For this, okay, and now I'll finish tightening it. 1, 2, 3, it's getting tighter, 4, and 4.5, it's as far as it goes. I don't want to force it, that would be bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one is not as tight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now we need to tighten the bottom. And this won't fit, so I will need a different tool. The ideal instrument for this is a wrench, of course, and but the smallest wrench I have is 8, and for this you probably need something like 6, I guess. So I will use this non-optimal tool here. but we'll be alright. And to tighten the bolt, I need to turn this way, anti-clockwise. Let me show you what's going on here. It's out of focus, but okay, this is okay. Now you can see what's going on here. I have to be careful not to scratch the tablet, of course. Oh, sorry, wrong. I was going clockwise, but that's not correct. Okay. Alright, this should do it. Then let's do this one, which is trickier because fingers won't fit in there quite so easily. It's hard. If you really want to be sure it's tight, you can keep screwing it in until you stop seeing the washer because it delved into the wood, but that shouldn't be necessary, as hopefully our tablet won't be subject to many vibrations. Hopefully. Okay, 2 to go. done. Now we need to gently put the tablet on the table, align these 4 screws all at once, which will be tricky, but fortunately we'll have a wrench when it will be time to tighten these, which will make it easier because the space is very tight. Alright, let's put this on the table. Incredibly, it went in at the first go. We need to tighten our screws in order for this to be free to pivot, but it's looking pretty good. So we have washers and bolts. Fortunately, the wrench fits, which is great. Let me get the other wrench. Okay, now it's nice and tight. Need to tighten it well because otherwise the head of the screw will hit against the head of the screw on the top and my tablet won't be able to pivot. Okay. All right, there we go. Let's see. Nice and smooth. Now we want to check. Let's put the table on a horizontal surface. And I want to check whether it's balanced when I lift the plane. Oh. It wants to turn a little bit clockwise, but that's quite okay because with almost no force I can rotate it in the angle I like. So let's show you the finished product. You might wonder why I put the tablet on the left side of the table rather than centering it. Well, that's preference, but this table comes with a little tray here, which would be in my way with my legs if I was sitting at the very center, so I want to be sat on the left side. And also I'd like this table to be sitting right next to my main desk, where I have my other computer screen and my keyboard and mouse, so I can have access to both and work more conveniently. So that's all. I hope you enjoyed it, and see you later. So I found out that I'm not too satisfied with the lifting table. In particular, there's this mechanism here. Wait, better from the side. That is supposed to lock it in place. It's very flimsy, and it doesn't want to stay in a position that is ideal for me. That would be around 45 degrees. You see, it's lower. And also it takes quite some strength to lift the table. So what I've done is I bought a 4-pack of air pistons on Amazon, and I made some calculations to find out what is the ideal position for these guys to lift the table. These are 200 newtons, the maximum strength, and presumably that's a little bit too much for the purposes I'm gonna be using them for, but I guess I can only know by trial and error, so we'll try to install these in a position that would be around here. And I'll tell you how it goes. Okay, I installed the pneumatic springs, and on this side you can see it's looking pretty good, but look what happened on this side. When I closed it, the joints that were supposed to support the 200 newtons that these springs produce all bent, both of them, and they didn't make it. However, I found out that one 200 newton spring is more than enough to support the table in place, and since I don't plan on leaning on it I think what I'll do is I'll return these two springs and I'll get a pair of identically sized 100 Newton springs, and hopefully the joints will support that and we should be alright. Okay, so now I replaced the pistons with 100 Newton ones, and as you can see the system works quite nicely. These are the pistons extended. It doesn't require too much strength to pull it down or pull it up, and one interesting thing is, as you can see, this model of pistons won't interfere with the tray and the drawer that comes with this particular desk, so that's nice. One thing to note is that in order to find the correct way to install these, you have to determine the position where you want to put the joint, the distance from the joint of the table, and that's by no means obvious. You have to solve a second order equation, quadratic equation, and there actually are tools on the internet that allow you to make this calculation, but the ones that I found are tools written by certain companies that sell these pistons, and so they won't let you input the specs of your particular piston. They will, given your requirements regarding the panel or door that you need to install these pistons on, it will tell you which model of piston you need. So you might want to do this calculation on your own. As you can see, I replaced this system here, which came with the table, this device, and I didn't really like the way it worked. It was very clumsy, while now this guy works quite nicely. You might have noticed that I blocked the rotation of my screen because I found out that when it's 45 degrees it doesn't really want to stay straight because it's not perfectly balanced. Reason being that the center of mass of the Wacom tablet is not exactly centered. I found with my broom system the height of the center of mass, but I assumed that the geometric center of the screen would be where the center of mass is, but it's actually slightly off center, and that's why he wants to rotate. So what you can do if you end up like me, and what I will do is to put some weight, either tape them on the screen or on the adapter so that they offset the center of mass. I found out that about 220-240 grams at this glued here on the side of the base should do the trick. And that's all. This is the pretty much final result. I hope you enjoyed.